Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Nomofsky. Today's topic, the hidden cost of being indispensable, rethinking people pleasing. So, Kendra, how do we start to shift our energy around this then?
So again, if that mainstream advice is really feeling like, oh, I'm making all these uncomfortable choices, don't force yourself into it because you're just going to disconnect from yourself and it's going to be even more uncomfortable and even more inauthentic. So I always say start way smaller and go way slower. What are the elements or the energies that are you going to need around you to support you in doing those things? And I always think it's great to start to focus on building courage because courage is the foundation for setting boundaries, for taking up space, for prioritizing yourself. So start to think about that. How do I build my strength? How do I build my courage? How do I build my clarity? How do I and stay with yourself first. And then the other thing you can do is start to pay attention and get really curious around what are the urges that I have. Just notice the urge to speak up, the urge to hold back, the urge to apologize, the urge to smooth over, and just where do those come from and who profits from you following those urges blindly.
Interesting. So, what's the first step then to building the courage?
Pause. I think when we so much can happen in such a small little pause when you notice the urge and you pause before you respond. That's where the power is always in the response to what's going on. And it's in that pause is where you can remind yourself, here's where you build the courage, that you're not here to make everyone's life easy and to play small and obedient. You're here to have your own raw creative experience with life and to enjoy the process. And that's where you remember, oh, wait a second, yeah, well, you could almost come alive. I'm resourceful. I have options. I can set the tone here. Instead of saying sorry, I can say, hey, thanks for your patience, everyone.
And I think that's important because we apologize way too many times. And it's nice just to say, thanks for your patience. So, instead of just pausing or over and above just pausing, how do we resist or overcome the urge after we've noticed it?
Yeah. Again, that people pleasing part of us was created to protect us. So learning to slow down and sit with that is where a lot of growth can happen. Every time you sit with the discomfort and an urge, it gets a little bit easier, and you do start to create this internal guidance system. You become more aware of your boundaries. You're able to make again these more conscious choices. You can not overgive. You can right size instead of self abandon. Basically, what's happening is you start to build trust in yourself, and that's where you start to get the courage to take up space and have more boundaries. Yeah.
I love that you just said that's where you get to build trust in yourself because I think that's one of the major problems as well. People don't
Mm.
feel the trust within.
Exactly. That internal guidance system is literally what saved my life. I've spent a lifetime building a relationship with myself that I know I have my back. And I've spent a lifetime of consciously working on that. And that's where there's so much power. Because then once you don't have to fight for that, then you can be generous and you can be open and you can be patient and you can be creative and you can have all those things. But if it's just this unconscious urge that you can't help it, it's like an addiction almost.
So it's like an addiction. Oh, there's so many things in life that are like that. How does this help us reconnect with our authentic selves? Because authentic selves, I mean, that keeps popping up over and over again. So, how does it
Mhm.
help us reconnect um, after years of prioritizing others? And I mean, you've mentioned this so many times throughout today's interview.
Mhm. 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 It, 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 it's not a journey for everyone because it does require consistency and dedication and determination and a willingness to go to potentially some places that aren't going to feel that great. It's very healing, and it is a place again where a lot of growth can happen, but it's not going to happen by accident.
It is a
Yeah.
lot of hard work, and especially when, people go through a lot of different things in their lives and they have a hard time navigating something difficult from within. And I love the fact
Mhm.
that you've said all along that it is a journey. It's taken you a lifetime to get through
Mhm.
this. It's taken you
Yeah.
a lifetime to understand what's been going through your mind, through your mindset. And one of the key things
Yeah.
you talked about was, setting boundaries, because that's not always easy. When we come back from this next commercial break, I want to talk about setting boundaries and being
Yeah.
selfish, or is it mean? So don't go away.